There's so many like fandoms that I'm not even like a part of, but if they make dolls about it, I'll probably buy them. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do a doll hunt and haul video. It's my first time doing this kind of video. I went to a consignment shop. It was a place that I heard of because ex-Canadensis, Brooke, had done a previous video there like a while back. Like I want to say like a year ago or more maybe. I could definitely be wrong about that. But it was a place called the Eastern Hills Mall, and it's basically like a dead mall that has a consignment shop in it. And when she did that video originally, I went there to see what was there, and there was some really cool stuff. So I remember back when I went there, like it feels like it was like a year ago, I saw like all kinds of inbox vintage Barbies, and I saw some like inbox Monster High dolls back then. So I was just curious to see like what they would have now. So we're gonna start with the hunt. So let's get into it. Okay, so this was the first section that I went to, and this is what I remember about this place, was that there was this one dealer that had a bunch of vintage Barbies. I don't remember them having anything that was like crazy nice or special the first time I came to this place. But I do remember there just being a large amount of vintage Barbies. So I was really curious to see what they had. They had less this time than I remember them having the last time. There's also a lot of really weird things in here, like this Sacha Baron Cohen doll. His face is like really questionable, but it was a cool idea. I feel like I don't know a lot of these Barbies, so I'm sure my Barbie people will know that's Captain Hook or something. I'm not sure what that was all about, but this is mostly Barbies. So there's some sort of weird like angel Barbie. This is Insurgent Barbie, which they were asking like, I think like $40 or something for her, which maybe she's worth that much. I'm actually not sure. I felt like the Barbies were not priced like horribly. Like I wasn't like, oh, these are insane. Cause sometimes you'll go to these places. Oh, and I think there was, what are these, like fashion packs or something, or like outfits. I wasn't too sure what they were, and I didn't want to like I didn't want to open them up or anything. The Barbie right there, that, car Barbie, I don't know, I guess she's a car Barbie, I'm not really sure. I was really tempted by her, but she was priced at $80. And also I did not have any cell service or Wi-Fi in this area, so I basically was kind of going in blind, just guessing based off of what I've seen the prices. This was the first thing that kind of bewitched me. I had never seen these Madame Alexander dolls before in person. I had heard about them, I knew they existed, but it was kind of crazy to see those in person, honestly. The Madame Alexander dolls, those were really cool. This one I wasn't as enthralled with because it was Iron Man. Also, she was priced higher than the others for some reason, even though if you look at those on eBay right now, I think she's one of the like cheapest ones. They didn't have the Black Panther one, which is like the most rare one. They only had these three that I'm pulling down. The Captain American one, I was like, but I really liked the Black Widow. I thought she looked really cool. They put the art on the back of them, which looks really, really good, I thought, so I was pretty happy with that. But I didn't grab her. But also, I just didn't know what those dolls were worth because I had never actually really looked into them. I only ever saw pictures of them briefly online. They had a bunch of these. I think these are, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought those were like maybe 80s Barbies. They're like 80s collector Barbies. I think I have more footage of them later, because I came back to this section after looking around the whole place. But this was the first place I stopped at, and then it was the last place I came back to. So if I'm not really looking too closely at stuff, I think I have some footage of a lot of these later. I was looking at the holiday Barbies just to see what they're pricing them at. They're like $25. I feel like that's fair for a holiday Barbie. I mean, I think holiday Barbies are usually kind of overpriced, honestly. There's this weird porcelain Cinderella doll. I think that's a 25, right? I think that was 25, yeah. Which, I'm not a porcelain doll collector, but I thought she was kind of interesting. She's the one porcelain doll. And then they had all of these, so I don't remember what era these Barbies were from. I'm vaguely familiar with them. I love the art of these. Like, I love the renderings on the front of the boxes. I wasn't as big of a fan of them once I kind of opened them up. Like, this one I was really excited about because it kind of is like giving Marilyn Monroe, like, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. But then the actual doll herself, like, I don't know. That's like, it's very like, It's a lot. It wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. So, oh, also, I just want to say, by the way, it says, do not take Barbie from the top shelf, ask. I did ask, and the guy told me that it's okay. Those signs are more just to keep kids from like climbing on the shelves and whatever. So the people who were running the consignment shop didn't mind that I was reaching up there and grabbing them before anyone yells at me for touching the Barbies on the top shelf. I did check first to make sure, because otherwise that guy would have been there all day taking every Barbie down for me. This one I've seen before and been really interested in it. She almost got me, but I feel like she wasn't priced. She wasn't in a price range that I wanted to pay. Also, seeing her in person, honestly, she was a little underwhelming. Like, I've seen that doll online a lot, and I thought she looked really pretty, but in person, I was like, eh. Yeah, she's 35. I feel like that's not a horrible price. I didn't anything that was like in like a sealed box where I couldn't open the window easily. I didn't look at. At one point I asked the guy if he could take one down and open it for me, and he did. And I didn't like any of the ones that they looked at. Oh, I was very excited about these. So I had not seen these in person until like since the 90s. Like I remember these came out in the 90s, and I always see them floating around on eBay here and there. But this is the first time I have seen them in person, literally in like since I was a child. Because these came out, I think, in like 95-ish, if I remember correctly. They did a set of 3 of them. They had all 3 there. They only wanted $25 per doll, which I'm aware that that's probably pretty reasonably priced for these. These aren't like super sought after, but I have seen specifically the one in the black dress. I've seen her get pretty crazy on eBay when she does show up. Not like insane, but I've seen her go for like $50 or so. So I was kind of excited to see that they were all $25. That was kind of exciting to me. And then here we are. This is a different seller. This person had like a lot of the more like action figure-y things, which I wanted to get some footage of just because I think they're really cool. I don't collect these kinds of things so much though. These were like really expensive. Like this was in the category of like, I almost felt they were maybe kind of asking a little bit too much. Like how much is she? $170. Yeah, like that seems kind of like wild to me for like a random X-Files doll, but maybe she's really rare. I'm not really sure. I don't know too much about these, so I'm sure my action figure people will know more about these types of figures. I thought he was hilarious. That face is so wild. But I know that this kind of Star Wars stuff is really sought after too, so I'm not surprised that the prices were like a little gnarly. Oh my god, look at that. Look at that face, girl. Work. Okay. But yeah, I thought this stuff was really cool, so I had to get some footage of it. Oh, and they had the Saw stuff. I remember when that Saw figure came out, I remember seeing it in Spencer's for like, I feel like it was like less than $40 retail, and now that guy's selling it for like, oh, I think it was over 100 it was priced at. I wish I had bought it. Not here, but like back when it came out. He had a lamp there too. That lamp was actually pretty cool. And then this is, what is this? Scream stuff. Okay, I guess we're done. This was something that I thought would be really interesting, is the Monster High doll. So I was expecting there to be more Monster High here. I really was expecting like a little bit more, because the first time I came to this area, there was a decent amount of Monster High when I came here the first time. But this time, not so much. They did have some Ever After High, like 3 of them. I just felt like their prices were like maybe a little bit too high for an out-of-the-box Ever After High doll. I was like $35 to $40 for one doll seems a little crazy for me, but also I'm not a big Monster High and Ever After High collector, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was a good price for them. But since I don't really collect G1 Monster High or Ever After High, I genuinely, oh, there's also some Descendants in there, and I think these Equestria girls. Somebody who knows, I think those are Equestria girls, but because I don't really collect these kinds of Ever After High dolls and the G1 Monster Highs, I didn't know who they were. Like, I didn't know, like, so even if I could have access to the internet or eBay or something, I didn't know. I think some of them had labels of what collection they were from, but like, do they? Hold on. Monster High. Oh, maybe they did. Maybe I just didn't notice. Damn. I probably could have looked them up a little bit more. Well, anyway. That's that. There was this stall that was selling like very recent OMG dolls, which I thought was really interesting because it's a consignment shop, but they were really reasonably priced. She was $12. So I was like, yeah, that's actually a good deal. If I didn't already have, I think I had every OMG doll that they had here. And I'm also not even that big of an OMG collector. So I might have actually picked one of them up if it wasn't for the fact that I think I had them all. They had some made-to-move Barbies. The prices were not horrible for these, like $12. And in this stall, I think this stall very much was like somebody who probably got like a bunch of them from an overstock type situation, and then they probably were just selling them like as toys for kids, not trying to mark them up for like collectors, which is, I really appreciate that there are some sellers who do that. There was also a plant section over here, which is pretty cool. There was some Hot Wheels and then some Pop Vinyls. I'm not really a Pop Vinyl person or a Hot Wheels person, but this person I think had some dolls. Yeah, there's me noticing the dolls. But then I get over here and wah wah, it's just some like shitty fashionistas and some shitty Disney dolls. So great. And then I moved on because I was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. And then this section over here, more Pop Vinyls. Great, more Pop Vinyls. They didn't even seem like they had any like crazy rare Pop Vinyls. It really felt like some of these sellers just literally would buy like, I guess, like overstock of Pop Vinyls and then just try to sell them for like essentially retail price. Some of them I felt like were really cheap. I will say I know a lot of these people do like estate sales and stuff, so maybe some of these bought like an estate of people who collected Pop Vinyls and they just weren't really like that valuable. Okay, and then we're going back to the Barbaras. Yes, we went back to the Barbaras because I didn't feel like I got a good look at every single one of them, and I wanted another look because I was a little frantic here. I just want to say as well, I got here at like 4 p.m. thinking that they closed at 6 because that's what it said online. They actually closed at 5, and they started turning the lights off on me at like 4:30. So I really didn't have nearly as much time. This place was enormous, and it was hard to kind of navigate and find all the dolls. Oh yeah, I became very interested in these suddenly because I noticed what they were called. So these were like sort of named after historical periods. Like there's like an Elizabethan one. There's which one's this? This is Victorian one, I think, if I read that correctly. Yeah, there's the Elizabethan one, which I was like, ooh, Elizabethan, and then I looked her up and I was like, oh. No, that's not Elizabethan. And then I realized, oh, these are like basically like they're the concept. Yeah, and then it was like, what did that say? Gibson Girl? So Gibson Girl, if I'm not mistaken, is like Edwardian times. I didn't really get Edwardian vibes from that personally, but I don't know. It felt very much like this was like whatever time period these were made, like the 70s or 80s or whenever those were from. They were heavily influenced by the current time period and kind of redesigning and inspired by those time periods, not really like giving historical accuracy. I was excited by the concept of the historical accuracy, though. And there's more holiday Barbies. I kind of glance at these holiday Barbies over and over again. I'm always drawn in by, like, the drama of a holiday Barbie. But then when I look at them real close, I'm like, I can't believe that this is what she is. Some of them were kind of cute, though. I think that was the 2014 one, if I'm not mistaken. They were reasonably priced, too. Like, truthfully, if you want to go get a vintage holiday Barbie, for 25 bucks, that's not horrible. Like, you could probably find them cheaper somewhere, but also, like, I don't know. I didn't think that was horrible. Some of these were kind of cool. I don't know. I didn't really know what they were. I'm not a big Barbie person. Oh, and then I found like a bin of loose dolls. So these I had to look through just to see what they had going on here. I don't know who that is. Took a second glance because I thought it was Ever After High at first, but then I realized it was not Ever After High. I'm not sure what doll that was. There's some Frozen dolls. Yeah, nothing really special there. Who's this? Ariel? Yeah, these are just like Playline Disney dolls. There really wasn't anything like that I was like shocked at in this bin. But did I even notice that girl that I keep pushing that one girl out of the way? I want to see who she is. Did I grab her at all? Who is that? Was I even paying attention when I was doing this? I feel like I was in a fugue state. Oh, that was kind of cool. She was sort of like a loose, like vintage Barbie. She looked, I mean, I could be wrong. She looked like 70s-ish to me. I'm probably wrong. I'm very bad at distinguishing Barbie eras. Ooh. Oh, and there's a little horror section, which I thought was really cool. I'm a big fan of horror, so I always like to see like the horror memorabilia. I don't really buy a lot of horror memorabilia anymore. I don't really do that too much. I used to, though. I used to collect this kind of stuff, but I don't know. It's just not really my vibe anymore. I don't really like to do it as much, but I do like to go to a Halloween store, and this section really felt like I was in a Halloween store, so I got a little bit of footage in here. There's all kinds of weird shit over here. It was kind of like, some of it was like very horror, some of it was like not. Like there's Mario. It felt very random. Oh, that's on sale for 10%. I don't know what it was. I didn't even look. And then, oh, this I thought was really cool. It's sort of like a glass case with all these little figures in it. I do love a little figure. It was very expensive though. I think that was close to $300 if I read that correctly. There's just more horror stuff. There's all kinds of cool stuff over here if you like horror stuff. Nothing really was like speaking to me, but there was another group, another seller who was selling Barbies, Um, and they had some cool stuff. Some of these I was really entranced by. Like this one, I'd never seen this Barbie before. I almost grabbed her just based on like principle. Their prices were a little higher though, so I was a little less excited about these just because it seemed like a lot of their dolls were priced maybe a bit higher than what I was really wanting to spend. Um, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time here just because at this point they were turning the lights off. Like I fully remember I came over to the section being like excited to see, because I found these dolls tucked away because this was like an action figure seller. And right as I went in there, they started turning the lights off. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I knew that I wanted to buy stuff too. So I wasn't like trying to spend a ton of time just like getting footage because I wanted to make sure had time to go back and buy stuff. I was really entranced by this Pilgrim Barbie. For some reason, I thought this was so funny. I don't know why. There's literally nothing special about that doll. They actually had two of them. I almost bought her just because I thought it was so fucking funny. And then Colonial Barbie. Barbie loves her capitalism or colonialism. Brooke Shields, work. This one I could not get over this because it looks like she fell over. And at first I was like, oh, she fell over. But then I was like, wait, no. She's intentionally packaged in the box, like on her butt for some reason. That is so funny. There were some of the holiday Barbies back there. Ooh, they had this I Love Lucy, and she wasn't even like a crazy price. And it was the Vegemite. It was that one. And I actually have always wanted this doll. But I got really stressed out, and I don't think I didn't buy her because I was really stressed out. I love the I Love Lucy Barbie faces. I think that Mattel always did a really cool job making it look like Lucy. And also, it just, like, in general, like, I was literally picking her up to buy her, but then I had to get back to the other section because I wanted to buy some Barbies from that other Barbie dealer. Also, she wasn't, like, a crazy good price, if I remember correctly, but she wasn't, like, expensive either. Yeah, I was gonna buy her, so I was gonna, like, take her around, but then I was like, no. It's weird in consignment shops. You don't really want to, like, pick stuff up and move it around because, like, it's a bunch of different sellers, so I was trying to kind of be respectful and, like, make sure I didn't just, like, pick things and carry them around. I got really, kind of into these figures for a second, though. I'm not really, like, a figure person. Like, I don't really have any G.I. Joes or really much action figures at all, but I know some of you guys like the G.I. Joes, so I tried to get a little bit of footage of them. I'm not a huge fan of them. They look cool. They're definitely cool. But to me, they've always kind of been like, I don't know, like, it's not that there's anything wrong with them. I just don't connect to them the way that I usually connect to dolls for some reason, so. Hello? What is that? I must have just been like, what the fuck is that? Oh, and they had the Star Trek Barbie. Oh, yeah, these were so cool. I've almost bought that Star Trek Barbie so many times. So then let's go over what I did buy. So I did purchase like way more items than I thought I was going to. I had allotted myself like one doll. I told myself you can have one. And I bought like 5. So we're going to take a look at what I bought real quick. I bought weird stuff. I bought some stuff that they're the kind of dolls that I don't really usually collect. But I don't know, for some reason they just spoke to me. So the first thing I bought was this Marvel Madame Alexander doll. I don't know why I wanted this so badly. There's something about this doll that like really sent me. She's kind of unusual. Like she's kind of a different kind of doll than I would usually purchase. But there's something about her face that was kind of almost giving me like, I don't know, it's like almost verging on like Monster High style face, which I thought was kind of interesting, like the shape and everything. But then the doll herself is very like, it feels very Madame Alexander, like it's like sort of more like, it feels very much like Mother of the Bride vibes. There's something about her dress, but it's also like, I just could not resist this doll. She was just so wild. Like I was just such a weird doll and I had never seen these in person. I also am very susceptible. This specific silhouette gets me every time. I don't know why. It just does. But it looks like it's a really cool dress, and it's kind of like buttoned up all the way up the front, which is kind of interesting for this style of dress. The doll's face is okay. She's fine. And then on the back, on the side, they have this like art. They're pretty cool. There's a bunch of characters in this line. It looks like they did 5. And when I was there, they had these 2 as well. I wasn't as interested in them. And the Iron Man, I think they had priced it like $55 or something, which seemed kind of outrageous. I think the Black Widow I got for like 40-ish, if I'm not mistaken, which wasn't like a great price, but I don't know. I couldn't resist her for some reason. They didn't have these 2. This one is like the rare one. The Black Panther doll is like, for some reason, it goes for like crazy prices on eBay. But I love they did the like art on the back, like the design sketches for the designer. I just thought she was really cool. I'm not really a Marvel person. I'm also not a Madame Alexander doll collector. I don't actually have any Madame Alexander dolls at all, so this is the first one I've ever purchased. I actually really like her. I think she looks quite good. I probably won't unbox her. I don't know. I didn't pay like a crazy price for her. She was like 40 bucks, but there's something about the whole presentation of her that really got me. So yeah, I bought her. That was the first thing that, like, I don't know. She was the main one I got like a ton of footage of too, I think. This one, I don't think I got any footage of her actually. Like, when I was looking back at the footage, but I did buy this 90s Glenda. This one was kind of a weird one for me. I don't really collect this type of Barbie too often. I don't really collect a lot of vintage Barbies at all. 90s Barbie face is just so wild to me sometimes when I look at it. But yeah, the dress is insane. Like, I probably won't unbox this doll just because it's like a vintage Barbie. And I don't love to unbox vintage Barbies usually. I usually just kind of keep them in there to preserve them a little bit. But the gown is insane. Like, it's like too big to fit in this giant box. It's so wild. I'm also a big fan of The Wizard of Oz. So that's a big part of the reason that I purchased her as well. It has all this stuff on the back too. These like photos from the movie. To be honest, this was probably this one was probably a little overpriced, I think. I think I paid maybe around 50 for her, maybe 40 or 50. I can't remember. To be honest, I did that actual doll hunt like a couple days ago now. So I don't remember how much I paid for each of them, but I remember at the time thinking she was a little pricey. I don't think this doll is actually worth 40 or $50. I could be wrong. I didn't really check the eBay prices. I just kind of bought them blindly, but she didn't seem like, I didn't think she was super rare or valuable. But I do remember this doll from my childhood. I didn't have her, but I remember seeing her. I couldn't resist her. She was just so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Like, this is just a ridiculous looking doll. All right, and then I actually grabbed, I'll show them one at a time, but I could not resist these. I know that this is not really, I'm not a big Star Wars person. I'm really not. These came out in 1998. So I do remember these. I remember seeing these on like toy store shelves when I was a kid. And I thought they were so glamorous and beautiful. Like, now they look kind of crazy, I think. But I couldn't resist just for the nostalgia. This is, of course, supposed to be Natalie Portman, by the way. This is a Hasbro doll, so they did their best. But the outfit is gorgeous. I mean, look at all the velvet and this was back when like Hasbro actually like tried. Remember that? It's actually not bad. And then, of course, they have these like cutouts on the back too. I've never seen that like again since then. But then also, this is, of course, that's Natalie Portman in the Star Wars movies is what they're kind of going for. I don't know that they really achieved it, but the face mold on these is very strange. I did buy all three of them though. I do remember these were $25, and I remember thinking like, that wasn't a bad price. Could I have maybe found them cheaper on eBay or something? I'm gonna be honest, probably. I think I probably could have found them cheaper. I know a lot of times these kinds of older vintage dolls that aren't super rare or sought after, people sell them in like big lots. So if I had just checked on eBay and waited, I probably could have gotten all of these for like 50 bucks combined or something. But they also don't always show up that often. I've seen them around a couple times. Oh, I don't know if I showed. There's also all this like artwork on the inside window panel. It's really cool, actually. So I'm not a big Star Wars person, but I always loved the costume design of the Star Wars movies. And specifically, it's Padme, right? Is that her name? Queen Amidala? Isn't her name Padme? Star Wars people are probably gonna tear me apart. But yeah, I loved her costumes in the movies. So I really appreciated these. These, I believe, are all, every one of these dolls is from the first movie, the episode 1 film. So I guess she wore all of these costumes in that one film. She did have a lot of crazy costumes. I remember they were so crazy. I haven't seen these movies in forever. So this is the last one. This one I think is maybe the best one, to be honest. Like, she's kind of like, she's really like serving. What is this one? This is the black travel gown. I don't remember her wearing any of these gowns in the movies. I will say though, this one I was really impressed that on her head, those are actual feathers. Usually feathers do not hold up really well. So I was kind of impressed that like this doll's about like 20 years old, Yeah, this doll's like 25 years old. Oh my god. This is a 25-year-old doll, and the feathers on her heads were still in really good condition. Everything was really well preserved. So yeah, I thought she looked really good. Obviously, she's still in box, so that's probably why everything looks really good. So I really like these. I'm gonna have to set up like a dedicated Star Wars display. I'll kind of show, I do have 2 other Star Wars dolls. I think I've shown them in other videos briefly, but I do have the D23 Carrie Fisher doll, and then I also have one of the Star Wars Barbies. I have the Darth Vader. So I feel like at this point I kind of have to set up like a little Star Wars area. It's so funny. I'm not even like a Star Wars person, but if you give me a doll though, there's so many like fandoms that I'm not even like a part of, but if they make dolls about it, I'll probably buy them. I didn't have nearly as much time to film in there as I really wanted to. So unfortunately I just didn't get as much footage as I had hoped. But maybe I'll go back there at some point. I don't know. I remember the first time I went there, there was like a ton of different stalls. There was like a whole like porcelain doll section the last time I went. I couldn't find it this time. I was like running through the place really frantically. I did my best. I found the vintage Barbie dealers. I think there were more though. I didn't find any Monster High dolls though, other than like the out-of-box ones. And then I think they were selling some of the pre-production dolls that I have back there, but I didn't see any G1 in-box Monster High dolls, which is what they had the first time I went there, which is kind of disappointing. But also, to be honest, if I had seen them, they probably would have been like way out of my price range. I wasn't looking to spend more than like $50 for any one doll. They're always cool to see in person. I'm not a G1 Monster High collector, so I always like when I just get to see them in person. If you do like this kind of content, please let me know. I can definitely do more like doll hunts and those kinds of things as well. It was a lot more fun than I expected. I tried my best with the filming. I'm sure I'll get better at that over time. But thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye.